Hi, Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. I know it is still summer. It's been a great summer, but I've had questions recently about how to make an inside-out ornament. So apparently somebody else is planning towards Christmas, and of course I'm planning towards Christmas and the Christmas Ornament Challenge that we have every November. This will be number 6. How many fingers do I need? And it's a lot of fun. In the challenge, you make an Christmas ornament, you video yourself making that ornament, and then submit that for the evaluation and judging. And it's a ton of fun with a lot of prizes. So plan towards that in your planning. But meanwhile, let's answer the question, and more than just referring to my previous videos of 3 and 4 component inside-out ornaments, let's make this one. As intended, it's going to be a 4-sided inside-out ornament with a Christmas tree inside of it, a short finial on the top, and a longer finial with perhaps some more bulk right here to balance out the overall ornament. But as I look at it now, it could almost as easily be a Christmas bell inside-out ornament with just a little finial on top, perhaps some turned bells inside or even some noisy bells, and a skinny finial on the bottom. Which is best? Either could work, I think. Which would you prefer? Or do you prefer both? But for now, let's go ahead and make this part of the ornament. In the next video, I'll do the finials and the center part, and make this Christmas tree or Christmas bell inside-out ornament.
Before any turning, I prepared 4 pieces of maple, starting with 8/4 or 2-inch stock about 8 inches long. The board had a twist to it that I had to remove. In the end, I have 1.5 by 1.5 inch pieces. I've marked an arrow on the end of each piece to help me keep the direction correct. Then I've spread just a little white glue on the last 1/4 inch of each joint and clamped them together. So now I've mounted the glued up block between centers. For insurance and safety, I'm wrapping each end with reinforced strapping tape. For inside-out turning, I have to resist the temptation to round off the turning blank. Instead, I have to leave the corners on and only tool the section that I need to hollow. That is the tough part. I have to make a smooth cut from a square corner through the intermittent air cutting and down into solid wood. Cutting well inside my planned boundaries gives me plenty of practice before the final cut. My plan is to have a cavity with an almost flat bottom that arcs up. This means I have a fairly sharp cove at the bottom and a gradual cove at the top. I'm using a freshly sharpened medium spindle gouge. Then it's time to sand and finish what will be the internal cavity. Some sanding has to be with the lathe off since contact is intermittent. I'm brushing on lacquer and wiping off the excess. With the lacquer dry, I'm using a chisel to separate the blanks. A couple of taps on the glue line and away they come. Any damage on these surfaces does not matter. They will be on the outside. Now to rotate the wood pieces and glue them together. I'm using white glue in case there is any squeeze out. I'm first gluing one pair together, then the other pair, paying extra attention to aligning the corners of the internal cavity. I also make sure to remove any squeeze out. After the 2 pairs are dry, I'm gluing the 2 halves together the same way. I did not trust myself to glue them all at once and keep everything aligned properly. I'm allowing the glue to dry at least overnight before proceeding. Now for the outside turning. I'm again mounting it between centers. No tape now because the full surface of each joint received glue. Due to the difficulty I have visualizing inside-out turnings, I'm proceeding very slowly and very carefully. So to start with, I'm only rounding one end so I can cut a dovetail tenon for mounting. The tenon is only slightly bigger than the minimum size for my chuck. As soon as the tenon is finished, I'm flipping the wood around and mounting it to my 4-jaw chuck. Now for the other side. I'm first cutting a dovetail mounting tenon here. I'm realizing my wood is about 2 or 3 inches longer than necessary. So I'm cutting a new tenon on this side before parting off the excess. Now is a great time to drill a hole in the top for the top finial and anything that may hang inside. My hole is 3/8 inch. I'm drilling it completely through to the inner cavity. We'll see later if that is a good plan. Then, while I'm still in the mood for drilling, I'm reversing the mount so I can drill the bottom the same way for the bottom finial. This will mount both the bottom finial and the inner Christmas tree. Now, ever so carefully, I'm turning the exterior. I'm stopping frequently to evaluate progress. Where there are voids into the inner cavity, I'm using a very light cut. With less wood here, the same pressure cuts more deeply, and that is my biggest risk. I also have to be careful not to touch the spinning wood since the edges of the inner cavity are becoming as sharp as knives. I'm using sharp gouges. When I stop the lathe, I look to balance the outer shape and the change to the edge of the interior cavity. It is fairly easy to check the thickness of the sides and the bottom, but harder to check the top since it tapers up further and I don't want to cut it too thin. When I'm happy with the shape, I'm cutting back the wood at both the top and the bottom to a fairly thin spindle. But I have to remember that wood surrounds the holes I drilled previously for the finials. I'll stop and sand now by hand with the lathe running and with the lathe off around the edges to the interior cavity. Now they are definitely knife sharp. I'm cutting back those edges with fine sandpaper to ease the sharp edge. I hope I've left the top and bottom spindles big enough to withstand sanding. Next, I'm parting off the top waist while still mounted to the chuck. I want to have a last chance to clean up the top since the finial here will likely be small diameter and may not cover the raw scar. Then to finish the ornament with brushing lacquer and wipe off the excess. Then part off the ornament from the bottom waist. This is tricky due to the cavity edges, but I and the ornament survive. So, will this be the inside-out ornament with a tree or with Christmas bells? Come back next week when I add the tree or bells, top and bottom finials, and anything else this ornament needs. And start planning your entry for this year's Christmas Ornament Challenge. That's all for the inside-out portion of this ornament. Next week I'll finish it off with all the finial work in the next wood turning video. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends. Always wear your full face shield. Goggles are simply not enough protection. Until next week, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. Come back next week for a new video.